Have you ever wondered why you wake up feeling spiritually drained, despite sleeping for hours as if unseen forces were attacking your peace throughout the night? Tonight, you're about to discover a powerful secret that Padre Pio shared with his spiritual children, a simple yet profound practice that has transformed the sleep and spiritual protection of thousands of faithful souls around the world. This beloved saint, known for his miraculous stigmata and deep devotion to Our Lady, revealed that something as simple as placing your rosary beneath your pillow before sleep could become your strongest spiritual shield against the darkness that prowls while you rest. Most Catholics carry their rosaries during the day, pray with them in moments of need, but few understand the mystical power that this sacred object holds even while we sleep. Padre Pio taught that our spiritual battle doesn't cease when we close our eyes. In fact, it intensifies. The enemy of our souls knows that during sleep, our conscious defenses are lowered, making us more vulnerable to spiritual attacks, oppressive dreams, and negative influences that can affect our entire next day. But what if I told you that a simple gesture, practiced by this great saint himself, could transform your nights into periods of divine protection and spiritual renewal? Before I reveal the 7 powerful reasons why Padre Pio urged the faithful to sleep with their rosaries under their pillows, you need to understand something crucial about this practice. This isn't mere superstition or religious folklore. This is a profound spiritual weapon that has been tested by countless souls who found peace, protection, and divine favor through this simple act of faith. Padre Pio himself witnessed miraculous transformations in those who adopted this practice, and tonight, you're about to discover why this humble gesture holds such extraordinary power in the realm of the spirit. The rosary isn't just a collection of beads and prayers. It's a spiritual sword blessed by heaven itself, and when placed beneath your pillow, it creates an invisible sanctuary around your sleeping form. Padre Pio understood that every gesture we make in faith, no matter how small, echoes through the spiritual realm with tremendous force. As you prepare to learn these 7 sacred reasons, remember that you're not just learning about a religious practice. You're about to unlock a divine secret that could revolutionize your spiritual life and bring you the peaceful, protected sleep that your soul desperately craves. Tonight marks the beginning of a new chapter in your spiritual journey, one where you'll never again go to sleep defenseless against the forces that seek to disturb your peace. Padre Pio's wisdom about this sacred practice has been passed down through generations of devoted Catholics who discovered that sometimes the most powerful spiritual weapons come in the simplest forms. Are you ready to embrace this divine protection and transform your nights from periods of vulnerability into sanctuaries of grace and divine presence? Padre Pio's understanding of the rosary's power during sleep came through years of mystical experiences and direct spiritual battles that few souls have ever endured. This holy priest, who bore the wounds of Christ on his own body, knew intimately the reality of spiritual warfare and the urgent need for constant protection, especially during our most vulnerable hours. He often told his spiritual children that sleep is not a time of spiritual neutrality. It's a battlefield where angels and demons contend for influence over our souls, our dreams, and our spiritual well-being. The rosary, he taught, becomes our guardian angel made manifest, a tangible presence of Mary's maternal protection wrapping around us like a celestial blanket. Through his profound connection with the divine, Padre Pio recognized that the rosary contains within it the very essence of the gospel, the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, meditated upon through the loving eyes of his mother. When we place this sacred object beneath our pillow, we're not just positioning beads and chain. We're establishing a direct line of communication with heaven that remains active even while our conscious minds rest. The saint taught that Mary herself draws near to those who honor her rosary in this intimate way, making her presence felt in dreams, in the quality of rest, and in the spiritual protection that surrounds the believer throughout the night hours. What makes this practice so extraordinarily powerful, according to Padre Pio's teachings, is that it demonstrates a level of trust and surrender that touches the heart of God. By placing our most precious spiritual possession, our rosary, in such close proximity to our sleeping form, we're making a profound statement of faith that echoes through the heavenly realms. We're declaring that even in our unconscious state, We choose to remain under divine protection, that we refuse to face the night's challenges alone, and that we trust completely in the maternal care of the Queen of Heaven to watch over us as we rest. The mystical dimension of this practice extends far beyond mere symbolism, as Padre Pio himself experienced visions and received spiritual insights during his sleep that were directly connected to his devotion to the Rosary. He taught that when we sleep with this sacred object nearby, we open ourselves to receive divine communications, prophetic dreams, and spiritual consolations that can guide our daily lives with supernatural wisdom. The Rosary becomes a spiritual antenna, tuning our sleeping souls to the frequency of heaven and allowing us to receive the graces that God desires to pour out upon us during these quiet hours. Perhaps most remarkably, Padre Pio discovered that this simple practice creates what he called a circle of light around the believer, an invisible but very real spiritual boundary that evil forces cannot cross. He witnessed how those who adopted this practice reported fewer nightmares, less anxiety upon waking, and a general sense of peace that permeated their entire sleep experience. This wasn't coincidence or psychological placebo effect. This was the tangible result of inviting Mary's protection into the most intimate and vulnerable moments of our daily existence, creating a sanctuary of holiness right within our own bedrooms. The first reason Padre Pio urged the faithful to sleep with their rosaries under their pillows strikes at the heart of spiritual warfare itself: protection against demonic attacks and spiritual oppression during our most vulnerable hours. This great saint, who engaged in direct combat with evil spirits throughout his life, understood that demons are most active during the night hours when our conscious defenses are lowered and our souls are more susceptible to their influence. The Rosary, blessed by countless Ave Marias and sanctified by the mysteries of Christ's life, becomes an impenetrable shield against these dark forces, creating what Padre Pio called a fortress of faith around your sleeping form that no evil can penetrate. When you place your rosary beneath your pillow, you're not just positioning a religious object, you're establishing a direct connection with the woman whom sacred scripture identifies as the one who crushes the serpent's head. Our Lady's presence, invoked through her sacred rosary, brings with it the full power of heaven's protection, transforming your bedroom into a sanctuary where demons fear to tread. Padre Pio taught that this practice is particularly powerful for those who suffer from nightmares, sleep paralysis, or that inexplicable sense of dread that sometimes accompanies the night hours, as these are often manifestations of spiritual attack that the Rosary's presence immediately neutralizes. The second sacred reason reveals how sleeping with the Rosary creates an intimate spiritual communion with the Mother of God herself, inviting her maternal presence to watch over you throughout the night. Padre Pio, whose devotion to Mary was legendary, taught that when we honor her rosary in this special way, she responds by drawing particularly close to us during our sleep, bringing with her the peace that only a mother's love can provide. This isn't mere sentiment or pious imagination. Countless faithful souls have reported experiencing a tangible sense of Mary's presence, sometimes even seeing her in dreams, or feeling her gentle touch as they sleep with her rosary nearby. If you believe that this powerful teaching from Padre Pio can transform your nights and bring you the divine protection your soul craves, write in the comments, "I choose Mary's protection tonight," and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to receive more life-changing spiritual insights that can revolutionize your faith journey. Share this video with someone who needs to experience the peace and protection that comes from sleeping under Our Lady's watchful care, because sometimes the most profound spiritual transformations begin with the simplest acts of faith and devotion. The third reason touches the very core of our spiritual purification: the Rosary's power to cleanse our subconscious minds from the accumulated spiritual debris of daily life. Padre Pio understood that our minds don't simply shut off during sleep. Instead, they process the spiritual influences, negative thoughts, and emotional burdens we've encountered throughout the day. The Rosary's presence acts as a divine filter, purifying these mental and spiritual processes and ensuring that we wake refreshed, not just physically, but spiritually renewed and ready to face each new day with a clean heart and clear conscience. The fourth powerful reason that Padre Pio championed for this sacred practice lies in the Rosary's ability to keep our hearts constantly attuned to prayer, even while we sleep. This mystical saint understood that true devotion doesn't observe the boundaries of consciousness. When we place our rosary beneath our pillow, we're making a profound statement that our desire to commune with God transcends the limitations of our waking hours. The subconscious mind, influenced by the rosary's presence, continues to resonate with the prayers we've offered throughout the day, creating what Padre Pio called a continuous conversation with heaven that flows seamlessly from our waking prayers into our sleeping rest. This constant spiritual attunement works on levels far deeper than our conscious understanding can grasp. Padre Pio taught that when we sleep with our rosary nearby, our souls remain oriented toward God even as our bodies rest, maintaining that sacred connection that nourishes our spiritual life and strengthens our relationship with the divine. Many faithful souls who have adopted this practice report waking with spontaneous prayers on their lips, sacred songs in their hearts, or profound, spiritual insights that seem to have been planted during their sleep by the gentle workings of grace activated through the rosary's presence. The fifth reason reveals one of the most beautiful aspects of this practice: how sleeping with the rosary opens our dreams to divine inspiration and supernatural guidance. Padre Pio, who received numerous visions and mystical communications throughout his life, taught that our sleeping hours can become windows through which heaven communicates with us, offering guidance, comfort, and revelation that our busy waking minds might otherwise miss. The rosary serves as a spiritual conductor, attracting these divine communications and making our dreams more receptive to the messages that God desires to share with us through the intercession of His Holy Mother. Those who faithfully practice this devotion often discover that their dreams take on a more sacred quality, filled with symbolic messages, encounters with saints, or profound experiences of God's love that provide direction and encouragement for their spiritual journey. Padre Pio explained that Mary, honored through her rosary, becomes our advocate in the realm of dreams, ensuring that the insights we receive during sleep align with God's will for our lives and contribute to our spiritual growth rather than confusion or fear. The rosary's presence beneath our pillow creates what this great saint called a bridge between earth and heaven that remains active throughout the night, allowing our sleeping souls to participate in the communion of saints and receive the graces that flow from this mystical union. This isn't fantasy or wishful thinking. It's the natural result of honoring God and His Mother through this simple yet profound act of faith that demonstrates our desire to belong completely to heaven, even while we rest in earthly sleep. The sixth transformative reason that Padre Pio revealed about sleeping with the rosary focuses on how this practice revolutionizes our prayer life by making sacred devotion more accessible and natural in our daily routine. When your rosary rests beneath your pillow throughout the night, you wake each morning with this powerful spiritual tool literally at your fingertips, eliminating the barriers and excuses that often prevent us from beginning and ending our days in prayer. Padre Pio, who maintained an intense prayer schedule despite his numerous responsibilities, understood that the spiritual life flourishes when we remove obstacles to devotion and create environments that naturally draw us closer to God. This strategic placement of the rosary serves as a gentle but constant reminder of our spiritual priorities, transforming the simple act of going to bed and waking up into opportunities for deeper communion with the divine. Many faithful souls who have embraced this practice discover that they naturally reach for their rosary upon awakening, beginning their days with the Ave Maria on their lips and the mysteries of Christ's life in their hearts. Similarly, the presence of the rosary makes evening prayer more spontaneous and natural, as the sacred beads are right there, inviting us to end our days in peaceful dialogue with Our Lady. Padre Pio taught that this accessibility factor shouldn't be underestimated in its spiritual significance. When we make prayer easier and more natural, we're actually cooperating with grace in a profound way, allowing the Holy Spirit to work more freely in our lives. The rosary's constant presence beneath our pillow sends a clear message to heaven that we desire to live in continuous communion with God, not just during formal prayer times, but as a constant disposition of our hearts and minds throughout every moment of our lives. The seventh and perhaps most profound reason that this great saint emphasized involves the powerful spiritual symbolism of this practice. Sleeping with the rosary demonstrates our complete surrender and belonging to Christ and His Mother, even in our most vulnerable and unconscious state. Padre Pio understood that true devotion is measured not just by what we do when we're awake and in control, but by the choices we make about how we approach those hours when we're completely dependent and defenseless. When we place our rosary beneath our pillow, we're making a profound declaration that transcends the realm of the visible world and echoes powerfully through the spiritual dimensions. We're announcing to all of heaven and all of hell that we belong entirely to Jesus through Mary, that we choose to live and sleep under their protection, and that even our unconscious hours are consecrated to their service. This level of surrender and trust touches the heart of God in a special way, attracting extraordinary graces and protection that extend far beyond the night hours into every aspect of our daily lives. This practice becomes a form of silent evangelization, a witness to the unseen world about the depth of our faith and the sincerity of our devotion. Padre Pio taught that angels rejoice when they see souls making such complete acts of surrender, while demons flee from the presence of such total consecration to the divine. The rosary beneath your pillow becomes a flag of ownership, proclaiming to the entire spiritual realm that this soul belongs to the kingdom of heaven and is under the special protection of the Queen of that kingdom. Throughout his decades of ministry, Padre Pio witnessed countless miraculous transformations in the lives of those who faithfully practiced sleeping with their rosaries beneath their pillows, testimonies that confirmed the profound spiritual power of this simple devotion. One of the most remarkable cases involved a woman who had suffered from terrifying nightmares for years, dreams so disturbing that she feared going to sleep each night. After Padre Pio counseled her to place her rosary under her pillow and entrust her sleep to Mary's protection, she experienced immediate relief. Not only did the nightmares cease, but her dreams became filled with peaceful, consoling images that strengthened her faith and brought her deep spiritual joy. Another powerful testimony came from a man who struggled with chronic insomnia, tossing and turning each night as anxious thoughts raced through his mind, preventing the restful sleep his body desperately needed. Following Padre Pio's guidance about the rosary practice, he discovered that the simple presence of those sacred beads beneath his pillow brought an unexplainable peace to his mind, allowing him to release his worries into Mary's maternal care and experience the deep restorative sleep that had eluded him for months. The rosary became his pathway to the peace that surpasses all understanding, transforming his bedroom into a sanctuary of divine tranquility. Perhaps most moving were the testimonies from parents who began placing rosaries under their children's pillows after learning of Padre Pio's teaching. These families reported dramatic improvements in their children's sleep patterns, with young ones who had been plagued by night terrors or difficulty sleeping suddenly experiencing peaceful, uninterrupted rest. The parents themselves found that this practice brought an additional sense of security, knowing that their precious children were sleeping under the special protection of the Mother of God throughout the night hours, when parental vigilance naturally relaxes. Padre Pio also documented cases of individuals who received profound spiritual insights and guidance through dreams after adopting this practice, including solutions to seemingly impossible problems, clarity about important life decisions, and even warnings about spiritual dangers they needed to avoid. These weren't coincidences or psychological phenomena, but clear manifestations of how the rosary's presence opened channels of divine communication that enriched and guided these souls' earthly journeys in remarkable ways. The saint observed that those who faithfully maintained this devotion over time developed what he called a spiritual sensitivity, an increased awareness of God's presence in their daily lives, a deeper understanding of spiritual realities, and a more intimate relationship with Mary that flowed naturally from this nightly act of trust and surrender. These testimonies convinced Padre Pio that this simple practice was indeed a powerful spiritual weapon that heaven had placed at the disposal of all faithful souls seeking deeper protection and more profound intimacy with the divine. Modern understanding of sleep cycles and subconscious processing actually provides fascinating insights into why Padre Pio's teaching about sleeping with the rosary proves so spiritually effective, revealing how this ancient practice aligns perfectly with how our minds and souls function during rest. During sleep, our brains process the experiences, emotions, and spiritual influences we've encountered throughout the day, consolidating memories and integrating new learning into our overall understanding of reality. When we place a rosary beneath our pillow, we're positioning a powerful spiritual symbol at the very center of this nightly processing, ensuring that our subconscious minds are continually influenced by the sacred mysteries and prayers associated with this holy object. The proximity of the rosary throughout the night means that our sleeping minds remain subtly attuned to the spiritual vibrations of this sacred object, allowing the peace and protection associated with Mary's intercession to permeate our deepest levels of consciousness. Padre Pio understood intuitively what science is now confirming, that our subconscious minds remain active and receptive during sleep, continuing to process information and influences that shape our spiritual and emotional well-being. The rosary's presence provides a constant, gentle influence toward the sacred, helping to purify and elevate the spiritual content of our dreams and subconscious processing. This scientific perspective helps explain why so many faithful souls report experiencing more peaceful sleep, fewer disturbing dreams, and a greater sense of spiritual well-being when they adopt Padre Pio's rosary practice. The consistent presence of this sacred object creates what researchers might call a positive environmental cue that signals safety, peace, and divine protection to our subconscious minds throughout the night hours. This isn't mere psychology. It's the natural result of aligning our spiritual practices with the way God designed our minds and souls to function, creating harmony between our devotional life and our neurological realities. Padre Pio's mystical insights about the rosary's protective power during sleep also find support in the spiritual principle that objects blessed through prayer and devotion carry spiritual energy that influences their surrounding environment. When we consistently pray the rosary, handle it with reverence, and use it as a tool for communing with heaven, we're not just going through religious motions. We're charging this physical object with spiritual power that continues to radiate blessing and protection, even when we're not actively using it for prayer. The combination of faith-based understanding and natural psychological processes creates a powerful synergy that maximizes the spiritual benefits of sleeping with the rosary. Nearby, Padre Pio recognized that God works through both supernatural intervention and natural processes, using the design of our human nature itself as a vehicle for grace and protection. This holistic approach explains why this simple practice produces such profound and lasting results in the lives of those who embrace it with sincere faith and consistent devotion. Implementing Padre Pio's teaching about sleeping with the rosary beneath your pillow requires more than simply placing beads under your head. It demands a transformation of heart that recognizes this practice as a profound act of faith and surrender rather than mere religious routine. Begin tonight by selecting a rosary that holds special significance for you, perhaps one that has been blessed by a priest, inherited from a beloved family member, or used in particularly meaningful prayer experiences. As you prepare for sleep, hold this sacred object in your hands and offer a simple prayer, entrusting your night hours to Mary's maternal protection and asking her to watch over your sleep with the same loving care she showed her infant son. The physical placement of the rosary should be done with reverence and intentionality. Slide it gently beneath your pillow, while consciously acknowledging that you're creating a sacred space around your bed, inviting the Queen of Heaven to establish her protective presence in your bedroom. Some faithful souls prefer to place the rosary directly under the area where their heads will rest, while others find it meaningful to position it near their hearts by placing it under the pillow at chest level. The exact location matters less than the spirit of faith and trust with which you perform this action, understanding that you're participating in a holy practice that connects you with centuries of devoted Catholics who have found peace and protection through this simple devotion. As you settle into sleep, allow your mind to naturally drift toward the mysteries of the rosary, perhaps beginning with a few Ave Marias or simply resting in the peaceful awareness that Mary's presence surrounds you through her sacred prayer beads. Don't feel obligated to pray extensive formal prayers if you're tired. Padre Pio taught that sometimes the most powerful prayer is simply the wordless surrender of a trusting heart that places itself completely under divine protection. The rosaries. Presence will continue its spiritual work throughout the night, regardless of whether you remain consciously aware of it, creating that invisible shield of grace that guards your sleep and purifies your dreams. Many practitioners find it helpful to establish a brief evening ritual around this practice, perhaps lighting a small candle before placing the rosary beneath the pillow, saying a specific prayer of consecration, or even playing soft Marian hymns as they prepare for sleep. These additional elements aren't necessary for the practice to be effective, but they can help deepen your spiritual connection to the devotion and reinforce your conscious participation in this act of faith. The key is consistency. Make this practice a nightly habit rather than an occasional experiment, allowing the cumulative spiritual benefits to build over time as your soul grows accustomed to sleeping under Mary's protection. Remember that this practice works in harmony with, not as a replacement for, your other spiritual disciplines. Continue your regular prayer life, sacramental participation, and devotional practices while adding this powerful nighttime protection to your spiritual arsenal. Padre Pio never taught this as a magical formula that works automatically, but rather as a faith-filled practice that opens your heart and home to divine blessing, requiring your sincere belief and consistent participation to achieve its full spiritual potential in your life. Tonight represents a pivotal moment in your spiritual journey, the night you choose to step out of spiritual vulnerability and into the protective embrace of the Mother of God through this powerful practice that Padre Pio championed throughout his holy life. You've learned the 7 sacred reasons why sleeping with your rosary beneath your pillow can transform your nights from periods of defenselessness into sanctuaries of divine protection. But knowledge alone will not bring you the peace and spiritual benefits you seek. The moment of transformation arrives only when you take that step of faith, placing your rosary beneath your pillow tonight and every night thereafter, trusting in Mary's maternal love to guard your sleep and purify your dreams. As you prepare to implement this life-changing practice, remember that you're joining a spiritual army of faithful souls who have discovered the extraordinary power hidden within this simple act of devotion. From the moment you place that sacred rosary beneath your pillow tonight, you're no longer sleeping alone. You're resting under the watchful care of the Queen of Heaven herself, surrounded by the protective presence of angels who rejoice when they see souls making such profound acts of surrender and trust. This isn't just about improving your sleep quality or reducing nightmares, though these benefits will naturally follow. This is about fundamentally transforming your relationship with the divine and opening your life to graces that can only flow when we demonstrate this level of complete trust and abandonment to God's will. The spiritual protection you'll experience through this practice extends far beyond the night hours, creating a foundation of peace and divine favor that will influence every aspect of your daily life. Padre Pio taught that when we honor Mary in this intimate way during our most vulnerable hours, she responds by showering us with special graces throughout our waking hours as well, helping us navigate challenges with greater wisdom, face temptations with stronger resolve and experience God's love with deeper intimacy. Your bedroom will become a sanctuary, your sleep a prayer, and your dreams a potential gateway for divine communication that can guide and bless your earthly journey in ways you never imagined possible. Don't wait for a perfect moment or until you feel spiritually ready. Padre Pio emphasized that the time to begin receiving divine protection is always now, in this present moment, with whatever faith you currently possess. Tonight, before you close your eyes, take your rosary in your hands and speak from your heart to Mary, telling her of your desire to sleep under her protection and your willingness to trust completely in her maternal care. Place those sacred beads beneath your pillow with the confidence that you're participating in a practice that has brought peace, protection, and profound spiritual transformation to countless souls throughout the generations. Your journey into deeper divine intimacy and supernatural protection begins the moment you choose to act on Padre Pio's wisdom, rather than merely admiring it from a distance. Tonight can be the first night of the rest of your spiritually transformed life, the beginning of a new chapter where you never again face the darkness alone, where your sleep becomes a prayer and your dreams become potential meetings with heaven itself. Take that step of faith, place your rosary beneath your pillow, and prepare to experience the profound peace and protection that await all souls who dare to trust completely